Let's start with the negatives and finish on a high. So negatives, there's no follow-up from schools if a child does not show up. So children are essentially not turning up to school, and that's okay. Postcodes, or the stigma of postcode. No youth clubs, no youth spaces, no safe spaces. McDonald's seems to be a safe space at the moment. Why? Because it's warm, because there's Wi-Fi, and they don't get thrown out. And they're quite comfortable in there. That's something that we've learned recently. Not enough physical activity in schools. Social media, again, has come up. A lack of communication with primary and secondary schools at transition period. How do we get that better? What does that look like? Kids don't feel safe in the streets and parks. And the decision making around investment, to your point, that it still feels like charity because it's put upon. So how do we engage the community and the young people to make decisions about investment? So what does that look like? And that'll probably come out of reactions. In terms of the positives, restorative behaviour management, providing those safe spaces for young people to discuss their views rather than just shut them down. There's a lot of data and information, which is a positive. We can't say we don't know because there's so much out there. We hear all the time that young people are surveyed to death. They don't want any more questions, don't want any more comments, they just want to see action. And they're actually turning people away from that and saying, stop talking to us, go and do something, then come back and have a conversation. But equally, and just as importantly, when we do ask, what's the feedback loop? What we're asking, why are we asking it, and what we're going to do with that information, and then how do they know we've done something so they don't lose trust. And I think the other positive is the young people themselves. They have a lot to offer. Just because you're from a disadvantaged community doesn't mean you're a disadvantaged younger person. And we put the label on them. They don't put the label on themselves. So how do we change that dynamic? We've got 7 actions. We're 5. So the actions we've got is firstly capacity in the system. So funding for roles, to cut waiting lists for CAMs, for any work. Is there a capacity, a lack of capacity in the space to support, whether that be voluntary, whether it be paid, whether it be a mix. More transparency and efficiency in cross-agency communication, that siloed working. What can we share? How can we share it? How effective are we at sharing it? And then again, what do we do with that information? A shift in policy around funding. So Jeff threw in the curveball, all youth clubs have been shut in Greater Manchester. Well, why? How's that being made? What do we do with that? Where do we put the investment if there is investment? And things such as Live Well. What's the opportunity in that space for those who know what the Live Well is? What's the opportunity for Live Well in this space and in other spaces? More pressure on schools to follow up around absenteeism, higher crackdowns of off-rolling going forwards. Participatory budgeting. So how do we actually give the power back to communities to make decisions about where that investment goes and what that looks like? And social media, how do we claim back social media? How do we get the young people to claim back social media? What does that sort of campaign and movement, what would that look like for them in this space? Whether it be on a local footing, i.e. this footing, and then how could that be rolled out wider?